Hello, hello, and good morning, world. Good morning, people, and welcome to the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Thank you for tuning in with us this morning as we conversate about the latest sports topics that has taken place from this past week and will be upcoming this week. It is always a blast to have you all tune in and participate with us every weekend. As a reminder that every week we always like to begin our podcast by reminding our audience that the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast can be found on Facebook via the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast sports discussion page, on Spotify as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, YouTube as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, where we have some recent videos uploaded, Apple Podcasts as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, or any place where you can find your podcast, as well as our own Facebook pages via Brandon Price and Jamar Goodman. Today is October 30th, 2021, a day before Halloween, and we have yet again seen an interesting week in the sports world. Well, on Thursday night, Mr. John Huxtable, and it hurts me to say this, so I'll pause. Mr. John Huxtable's Green Bay Packers oust the Arizona Cardinals in an epic finish. Today, Jamar, brother, we will give the Green Bay Packers a bit of love but it's only for one reason. And it's because John Huxtable is a very avid and passionate Green Bay Packers fan. What an amazing game that was, gentlemen. The Atlanta Braves and Houston Astros now in the midst of a heated World Series battle. A lot of folks feel a certain way about the Astros because of that scandal that occurred. And the Braves right now are giving the Astros a lot to handle, including a no-hitter last night, guys. The New York Knicks and Chicago Bulls engage in a fantastic and fun ball game. With the Bulls coming up short and an impressive return home for what appears now to be, and I don't want to jinx it, a now healthy Derrick Rose on Joakim Noah night. Alongside for my hockey fans, the disturbing allegations coming from the Chicago Blackhawks organization at a time when we were winning Stanley Cups and had a very strong run, a sex scandal that has led to the resignation of the team's president, and the guy that led the ship, the former head coach Joel Quenneville, whom resigned from an undefeated Florida Panthers team this week amidst the allegations. And so as a result, introducing our guest this morning, Mr. John Huxtable, who I am affiliated with through the Disciple of Christ Christian denomination. By the way, John, I am taking a Disciples History and Polity course right now at LTS. John currently sits as pastor and lead servant of First Christian Church of Verdun, and we are excited to have you join us this morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brandon. I'm glad to hear you're taking the History and Polity course. It's one of my favorite courses.
Awesome. Yes, a lot of work. Additionally, introducing my partner here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast and my brother from another mother, Mr. Jamar Goodman. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Doing excellent, man. Let's get it going.
All right. First and foremost, let's get it going, guys. We will talk about the Green Bay Packers. And this is taking up our first segment for various reasons. The first reason is because Mr. John Huxtable is a very passionate Green Bay Packers fan. This goes back to Brett Favre and even prior to him when he was back at Mississippi, Southern Mississippi. This is years into the making. And so he's having some pretty good days right now. This past Thursday, John, it was a fantastic football game. It ended with a crazy ending, but Aaron Rodgers finds a way to come through yet again. And so just curious, man, what thoughts did you guys take away from this game? And so since you are our guest this morning, John, let's begin with you. What thoughts did you take away from this fantastic football game?
Yeah, it was a great football game. The Packers went in so limited as far as injuries and COVID and everything else. Down their top three receivers, Jair Alexander being out, Zadarius Smith being out, all the injuries and that were plaguing it. As you and I talked, Brandon, it was not the outcome I expected actually in that game, but I thought that the Packers showed that they can win in various ways in this game. It was one of the greatest, one of the best team victories they've had in years past. When they went up to San Francisco, they got thumped in a big game, right? Then they go to Seattle, they get thumped too, and that was kind of the pattern for a while with them. So Thursday night was really a big game. Now, a few things disturbed me. The 2 red zone a series that they didn't they had to settle for the field goal when they started on the 3-yard line, and then the interception that they didn't score at all. So those kind of things still need to be cleaned up, but the Packers seem to be rolling pretty well right now.
Yeah. Jamar, your thoughts, brother?
Oh, man. It hurts to give, good takes on the Packers here. But in all seriousness, though, no, they to me, they show that they are better than what I think they are. Because I wasn't sure how, they only have 1 loss. Like that's impressive by itself. But the fact that you basically don't really have too much on offense to work with, defense is not 100%, and you still come out and find a way to win on the road against an undefeated team who has that undefeated team at the time has proven to knock off some big teams already. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that they featured AJ Dillon a lot more in the running game, that I didn't see that coming, but that was a good call on them. I figured that Aaron Jones would be more used in the passing game, and he was. He trusted Randall Cobb in the red zone. He came up with 2 touchdowns, and I feel like as long as number 12 is under center for that team, they're always in the game, always have a chance.
Always.
And on the flip side, I feel like the Cardinals just came out flat. Like, what are you doing? And even still, with them coming out flat, they was in the game. But I guess the last play of the game for them was basically summed it up for them for that night. Just not on the same page whatsoever. So, I mean, I give props to the Packers. It pains for me to do this. It does. But no, they deserve it. They do.
Absolutely, man. My question is, y'all, what the heck happened with AJ Green at the end of the game? This is, unfortunately, Jamar, one of my bones to pick with Kyler Murray is thus far when it comes to finishing, I've never really got that big finish from him yet. I've never got that signature moment outside of that Hail Mary with DeAndre Hopkins last year. That's the one thing I would love to see from Kyler Murray more. I just don't know what happened there. It was just so bad. It was so shocking. It was quiet in my living room. I mean, it was just only me, but it was quiet because seeing what occurred, it was like, what were they talking about in the huddle? Like, is it possible, guys, that maybe AJ Green was thinking that he was going to throw it to DeAndre Hopkins? Because that's what I thought. I'm like, you give the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Don't give it to AJ Green. But then again, you can see the point, guys, as football savants, you can see why you give the ball to big old AJ Green. You put it right in his chest. He posts the guy up, boom, right in his chest. But obviously there was some huge miscommunication there. It appears that he thought it was a run, which was another option with the Cardinals, right? You could have gave the ball to your back. I don't even, who was the running back for the Cardinals? Because what's his name?
It's either Connor or Edmonds, but they couldn't run the ball. They was out of timeouts at that point.
Yeah. And Connor, he's been having a decent season thus far. Yes, the other back, Evers, is pretty elusive. But it was options. You had D Hopkins. You could have, as stated, gave a post up to AJ Green, or you could have allowed Kyler Murray with those quick feet to scramble real quick and get the touchdown. It was so many options that they had, and it was sad to see the miscommunication, just on that end. And so I don't know what happened there. I don't know, Jamar, maybe, it's just sad, man, because, at that point of the game, you would think AJ Green, after all these years, would, at least if he had a question, just double check in, like before he leave that huddle, say, what was the play again? It was sad to see that he just ran off and didn't even truly know what was going on,
Yeah, that was definitely like you and your wife supposed to be on the same page. You come home with pizza and she come home with Chinese food type thing. It's like I supposed to be on the same page. I felt like maybe the play was actually designed for DeAndre Hopkins, but he saw AJ Green one-on-one on the outside. But AJ Green went. I don't know, but like you said, it was so many options, so many variables that went into it. I mean, that it happens. I'm just glad it wasn't a playoff game for them and just a regular season game at this point.
It definitely happens. You know what I said on my TV? I said Aaron Rodgers always gets this. Like, this always happens for him. And as a Bears fan, it really ticks me off. Like, he always gets this. Like, how did I know, Jamar, like some crazy was just going to happen and somehow he was going to end up doing his, you know?
I know. It was like, okay, so it's like I'm like checking all the boxes here. All right, so Arizona got the ball last. I'm like, okay, Arizona let the clock wind down. I'm like, okay, Aaron Rodgers.
They made sure he didn't get the ball, right?
Yeah,
Jamar, they like, hell no, don't let him get that ball again.
I'm like, okay, check that box. Okay, they are like first and go inside second and go inside the 5. I'm like, check. I'm like 13 seconds left, check. I'm like, all right, just punch it in. And then they couldn't even do that.
Right.
I would argue with you guys though on a few of that because I've been a Packer fan a long time, and let me tell you, we don't always get it to go our way. I mean, there was the fail Mary in Seattle. There's
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, right, Jamar? I mean, as Bears fans, we would love to have those moments. We would at least love to be in those moments. We don't have an opportunity for a fail Mary. That's the whole point, John. You guys at least have the opportunity, you know, like we got the opportunity for a fail Mary.
Yeah, Nagy would kill the moment before we get there.
Yeah, I can understand that. I appreciate it.
Be a lot that would take place prior to getting to that fail Mary, right, Jamar?
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. On a more serious note here, does this now put the Packers, Jamar, does this now put the Packers as a team to beat in the NFC?
I would say at this moment, Saturday, October 30th, right now, sure. They knocked off the number 1 team in the NFC. But I mean, you still got the Rams, you still got the Bucks. And you can maybe even make an argument for the Cowboys. They're playing well too. So I mean, right now, I give it to them. I mean, they knocked off the top team in the NFC right now. So yeah.
I tell y'all what, man, the NFC playoffs. Remember, Jamar, we were saying like last year the NBA playoffs is gonna be lit. The NFC playoffs is gonna be lit.
Yes.
I mean, just think about it, y'all. Like the Bucks, Cowboys, the Packers, the Rams, the Cardinals. Like these 5 teams right here, like
somebody's not gonna make it past the first round.
I know, right? And whoever playing the first round, I'm thinking it's gonna be a shootout, Jamar. It's gonna be a good old Wild West. Like it's gonna be a toss-up for real, because all these teams are dynamic with multiple weapons. The Cowboys are the worst team, and they look damn good. And they I mean, they got a ton of weapons. And so, like, you know, it's fantastic to see, man. John, does this make your Packers the team to beat in the NFC?
You know, I'm actually with Jamar on this. I lay right now. After they beat the Cardinals, I was pretty high on them, you know, kind of thing. And then sitting watching that game, thinking that game, the Bucks are still. We got to beat the Bucks before we can say we're above anybody. You know, I mean, number one. And even the Rams. I mean, I put the Rams and the Packers kind of in the same boat. I think are really close to each other. But yeah, I still personally think the Bucks are probably the team to beat in the NFC.
Yeah, Tom Brady, right?
Yep.
I mean. Yep. This is fantastic to see Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers both in the same conference. I never ever thought that'd happen, but it's here.
Right. I love it.
It is here. And last year they were in an NFC championship game. It's a lot of variables that can happen again for that rematch, but I mean, yeah, Green Bay Packer fans, you guys are sitting in a good place. And congrats on pulling out that win. It was awesome to see, man. All right, let's hit on our NFL power rankings, Jamar. And so, John, as we go through these NFL power rankings, you can feel free to chime in.
Sure.
And if you got a top five, you can give it to us. But I didn't talk to you about giving us a top five, so you can feel free to chime in on our top five power rankings.
Great.
So, Jamar, let's begin with you. Give us your top five.
All right, so number 5, I have the Tennessee Titans. I know you said top 3 will, I guess, more so discuss those. Number 4, got the Arizona Cardinals. And this is as of right now.
These are all good football teams, man. The Titans are becoming who we thought they were.
They are, and I'm loving
the crap out of
it.
people.
What they did to the Chiefs last week? Oh.
Yeah. And the Bills. I mean, beating the Bills is not easy. It shows you just how good the AFC is. Some really good teams over there too.
Absolutely. So number 3 right now, I have Tampa Bay. They've been, pretty consistent even with the injuries on both sides of the ball, picking up, Richard Sherman off the street, and he's only, in there for like 2 seconds and he's out. But nevertheless, this Tampa Bay team is still rolling. They thumped our Bears pretty good last week. Mike Evans giving away 600 career touchdown and all, making negotiations with a fan. But nevertheless, man, like that Bucs team is rolling. Number 2, the team that actually beat them, the Rams. I mean, like you have mentioned in the past couple of weeks, Brandon, like they rival the greatest show on turf as far as their offense is concerned. Like their offense is so lethal that their 4th receiver, Deshaun Jackson, is requesting a trade. It's like they have.
I know, right?
Yep.
That just came out this morning, but like that shows you, Jamar, just how many weapons they got. He's frustrated. And he's frustrated because he can't get the ball because they got so many weapons. Like we can't share the ball with everybody.
Man, it's crazy because we thought, Cam Akers would have been a big blow for them this year. Didn't even get a chance to get on the field to be a part of this special, ensemble that we're seeing here. But nevertheless, your quarterback, he's out here balling, and that defense is ferocious. And when they come time to make a play, they make a play. But number 1, I do have them Packers, man. Them Packers at the moment. At the moment, I do have them Packers. Yeah. So, all right. So top 5: Packers, Rams, Bucks, Cardinals, and Titans.
Yeah. I know it pains you, Jamar. I'm with you, man. Yeah. Put the Packers as your number 1 team. Like Saturday morning. We're close to Halloween and it's supposed to be a fun time, and here we are talking about the Packers.
I mean, it's spooky, man. That's what it is.
It's very spooky. Yeah. All right. Number 5 team, y'all. For me, I got the Cowboys. And the reason why I got the Cowboys, Jamar, rather than the Titans, is because I feel like if these 2 teams got on the field, it would be a damn classic because there are so many good teams. But I just feel that the Cowboys got more weapons. That is with the relatively even decently healthy Dak Prescott. We know what's been going on in the media about him, but he is stating that he's healthy, but right now the Cowboys are taking things relatively easy right now with him. But the Cowboys are a freaking dynamic team. The Titans, for me, guys, their losses, they lost to the Bills, but the other loss was a bit questionable. And so they have, however, had a pretty tough schedule, Jamar. And so, as we know with the Titans every year, man, like as the season goes on, and it's just like a football game with Derrick Henry. Y'all both know this. You just let him continue to wear people down and, pretty much you wear the other team down. But right now I'm gonna stick with the Cowboys, although the Titans are they're right there, right? Number 4, I got the Rams. And the reason why I got the Rams rather than the other team I'll go with is because this other team beat the Rams a few weeks ago. The Rams are dynamic. They look like the greatest show on turf. I mean, they got so many weapons. This team is surgical. They move the ball up and down the field. Jamar, this happens quickly with these guys. These guys can put up a bomb on you, and you look up, it's one play and touchdown. Ask the Bears, right? And so the Rams and their offense is just dynamic, and not to mention the defensive Hall of Famers they got on the other side of the ball that makes plays. And shout out to Jalen Ramsey for ending that game last week. It was impressive to see how he came up big, but it's Jalen Ramsey. Number 3, I got the Cardinals. The Cardinals, y'all, I mean, this team is surgical as well. I know they got off to a slow start, Jamar, but you take positives out of a game. And the positive is that even though they lost the game and they had the miscommunication, they drove the ball right down the field. Most cases, right, they should have won the game. They proved that when they get hot offensively, that it's pretty much unstoppable. They drive right down the field on you. And that's exactly what they did on the great Packers. It was some miscommunication that happened, and the Packers found a way to win an impressive game on the road. And so for that reason, I can't put the Cardinals as number 1, although they've been number 1 for various weeks. Number 2, I got the Bucs. The Buccaneers, we know about the Buccaneers, right? Like, they just stomped our Bears last week. They are hot right now. Their ship is steaming right now, and they are just coasting along. It's going to be very interesting, guys, to see who gets this home field in the NFC, because I'm noticing that my top 5, y'all, is all NFC teams. I got 5 NFC teams on my top 5, which shows you just how good the NFC is, and shows you that coming down the road as we continue to progress with this season, it's going to be a very interesting question to see who gets home field, because my number 1 team is the Packers. And if the Packers get home field, Jamar, it's an issue. Just simply because it's Green Bay. But then again, right, Tom Brady last year did, he did what he did. He's Tom Brady. But, having home field for the Packers is always an advantage because it is Lambeau Field. It is freezing in January. It is very freezing in January, and it's not a fun place to play. You feel like in January, if you walk out of Lambeau with a win, that you lucked up. And so, the Packers, I mean, without their top 3 playmakers, this team, found a way to win. Aaron Rodgers always gives you a chance. He is a bad man. And, it's really great to see. I really hate, y'all, that this is supposedly his last dance, and how he's he's talking at the end of the game to Aaron, and he's, just stating like he's having so much fun with this team. This team is dynamic. They find ways. They're tough mentally. And to think that this might be his last season, it'll really suck for us as fans. But at the same time, it'd be great for us as Bears fans. And so Packers right now, man, they are, for me, the best team in football. Although if you put them and the Bucs on the same field, the Bucs probably can't pull it out just because it's Tom Brady. But right now, the regular season, right now, the Packers appear to be the best team in football right now. That was a very impressive win. All right, guys, let's now do our segment of Who You Got. And so we will now hit on college football. We got some big games this weekend, y'all. Let's begin this weekend with number 6 Michigan at 8 Michigan State. This is big playoff implications alongside for the Battle of Michigan, Big Ten battle. It's a lot on the line here. And we got 2 undefeateds going in. And so just curious, y'all, because Michigan right now, and you said this, Shamar, a few weeks ago, that Michigan appears to be on the right road this year to finally get over that hump to make the football playoff. But you got Michigan State in the way, and you got Ohio State coming up. So Just curious, Jamar, does Michigan keep this thing rolling? Because they are not in Ann Arbor, they're in Lansing.
Man, I've been on record and saying like if John Harbaugh is gonna get it done, this is the year for him to get it done. I don't know. There's a piece of my heart that just likes Michigan, like all the time. So I'm rolling with the Wolverines. This is gonna be a tough game. This is gonna be a tough game. Usually Michigan comes out on the better end of this matchup. Usually, but this is gonna be tough. But I'm rolling with the Wolverines.
John, who you got?
I tell you, I'm. That's a real toss-up game for me. And Jamar's right. If Harbaugh is going to do it, this is the year because they seem to be loaded and playing as well as they've played in years. But I tell you what, I think I'll pick State over Michigan this week.
Ooh.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. I'm torn. You know what? I'm gonna go with, and this is the tricky part about college sports, right, fellas? Sometimes most teams are on your television screen, and sometimes other teams are just not on your television screen.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, Jamar, the NCAA tournament, right? Every year you watch Duke, you watch all these big programs, and then some other damn teams you never heard of come out of the blue, and you be like, oh wow, I never watched this team. So I'll pick the other team that I've seen all year. And that's the tricky part about it. I've seen Michigan State once this year, and that was against they beat up on Miami. I remember that. But Miami doesn't appear to be a pretty good football team. They've really had a bad season after some pretty high expectations for them and De'Ara King. But one team I have seen is Michigan. I have seen the explosiveness. I have seen the weapons. I have seen the points that they can put up. And so for that reason, I'm gonna go with Michigan because only thing I know about Michigan State is that they got a great defense. And I know they got an African-American coach who is a very tough coach. And he's fixed that program up. So I want to give him a shout out, right, guys? Michigan State was nothing in football recently. This has been a basketball school. They've been great in football in the past years, tough defenses, great corners, great linebackers, great DNs. But just as of, let's say, the past 5 years, Michigan State hasn't been, they haven't been all that. Last year, they were terrible. Now, look at them. Number 8 in the country, undefeated. They're fighting for a Big Ten title now. This is amazing to see. And so if Michigan State pulls this out, Jamar, I'm going to give this to you guys. The headlines are going to be very interested around Ann Arbor.
It really will be. This is gonna be like one of the few games I think I'm gonna actually tune in for all 4 quarters. Like I'm actually like have it up on my my iPad here, like for real.
Yeah, that even includes watching Purdue last week because that was abysmal. I watched the game, Jamar, and it was exactly kind of what we were predicting, like Purdue being at the big stage. Let's see what they do.
The letdown.
Big letdown. I mean, the offense was just, it was terrible.
I know.
All right. We got some big games, y'all.
Yes.
So although Florida, y'all, is undefeated, if y'all remember, they put up a big war against Alabama. This was a shootout. Yep. Alabama was number 1 at the time. They were in Florida, in Gainesville. So we got number 1 Georgia at Florida. Does Florida potentially pull out an upset? I don't know, but guys, give me your thoughts. 1 Georgia at Florida. Jamar, let's begin with you.
Bulldogs. I'm telling you, I feel like Georgia is the best team in this country, even when Alabama was ranked 1, just because of how their defense is playing. I'm taking the Bulldogs.
They got some dogs on that defensive end. They got a special unit over there. John, who you got?
I'm absolutely with Jamar. I don't think anybody's even. I think it's Georgia and then everybody else in the country. I think right now.
This is true because Iowa was ranked number 2, and Purdue blew out Iowa.
Oh yeah,
44-7. They're supposed to be the 2nd ranked team in the country, and so that is an excellent analogy, John. Because right now, the way it's looking is Georgia and everybody else. And so for that reason, I'm gonna go with Georgia as well. Based off of what you guys just told me, I have no reason but to go with Georgia. although I do believe, now y'all come on now, I do believe that this will be a very tight game. I don't think Florida just gonna lay down.
No, I think
so. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, what we saw Florida do to Alabama, I think Florida's in the game, but I still think Georgia may take it by 10. You know, I mean,
kind of just overwhelm them, overwhelm them after, as the game go on, they just overwhelm. That's what Georgia do.
I don't know. I'm half and half. I can see that happen. I can also see Georgia just laying down the hammer and just, punch them in the mouth. I can see both happen, really.
College football is so interesting though too because of the emotions, right? I mean, there seems to be so much more emotion in college than the pros as far as swinging momentum, and it's in Florida, right? I remember, I think, so that's going to give some emotion to Florida, I think. But I just Georgia's they're just top notch right now.
Top notch, but I tell y'all what, Georgia better watch their bus, man, because it is that is one of the best places to play in college football. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. 10 Ole Miss, y'all. Shout out to Ole Miss. They have been balling out this year as well, low key. The Ole Miss Rebels playing another great team has been balling out this year as well, low key. Auburn. 10 Ole Miss at 18 Auburn. Who you got, Jamar?
That's a tough matchup. I'm taking Ole Miss, but I'm not comfortable with that one. I don't have the warm and fuzzies inside on this one. I'm taking Ole Miss though.
Go ahead, John.
I think Jamar, I tell you what, I'll piggyback off you completely because it's I think Ole Miss is got a little more firepower. I think this is one a little bit like you said earlier, Brandon. I have hardly seen Auburn play, but a friend of mine from seminary actually is an Ole Miss fan. So I kind of watch him keep me up on Ole Miss more. And so I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen Auburn really play either, y'all. I just know they got a great defense and a great running game, which is typical Auburn, right? But I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I've seen Ole Miss play. I've seen the weapons that they got. I've seen the explosion. And also seeing the big antics that happened this season, where I believe they got into a big dispute after the game. It was with Ole Miss and I believe Mississippi State. And so for that very odd reason, Ole Miss has just been a lot on my radar on my TV screen. But 18 Auburn, I mean, they're there for a reason. So it's a game to keep an eye on. I'm not feeling bad if Auburn wins and I picked Ole Miss. I'm just going with Ole Miss for that reason. All right. This is a very interesting game because Penn State has a fantastic defense, has been ranked in the top 10 for a good portion of the season. They just had a tough loss last week, right, without their quarterback for most of the game. So I don't know if this team is as bad as, they're ranked 20. I think they really got a bad rep here. They got pushed down to 20, seriously. But number 20, Penn State, and number 5, Ohio State. And right now, y'all, the Buckeyes are they've kind of flipped the switch and they're now becoming Ohio State, if that makes sense. So Jamar, who you got?
You kind of took the words out of my mouth. It's like just right on cue. Ohio State just having to be right back in the mix once again, as we thought that maybe they're not this good. No, Ohio State is right where they want to be. See, if this game was at Penn State, I'll be a little nervous. Ohio State. I think Ohio State handles business. I really do. They've been here before, right? I mean, it's basically in October. They're in prime position. I mean, they're probably licking their chops right now, knowing that, these top teams in the last couple of weeks have been just falling like flies. I'm taking the Buckeyes.
John, who you got?
Yeah. I got the same. I'm gonna go with the Buckeyes because like Jamar said, I feel like Ohio State now is just waiting because they're holding their time out now, waiting to get into that top 4, so and it can come. We watched it all season with the top teams dropping out. So I don't think Penn State's got the firepower to keep up.
Right. Yeah. Penn State right now, their offense, you guys are very, very right. In a number of their games, it has not been the most impressive, right?
Mhm.
Offensively, it just has not. Points per game, Ohio State, y'all, they're averaging 49 points a game. Penn State only 26. You know, I mean, right now, yards per game, Ohio State has 560 yards per game. This offense is monstrous. For that reason, at Ohio State, I'm gonna go with Ohio State. I don't know many of the names of these guys on Ohio State. I just know they move up and down the field a lot. And so for that reason, I'm gonna go with Ohio State. And secondary guys, you guys ever deal with stock and investing? Right now, we got a bullish Ohio State and we got a bearish Penn State. And so things are kind of tumbling right now for Penn State. And going to Ohio State is not the easiest of things when you're you got things tumbling right now. All right. So we got some other notable games, gentlemen. Number 9, Iowa's at Wisconsin. Wisconsin just beat the daylights out of Purdue. Wisconsin is another team that's becoming Wisconsin. They had a slow start, but they've been trending in the right direction lately. And so that's a very interesting game, especially being that Wisconsin just beat up on Purdue and then Purdue beat up on Iowa. All right. Shout out to the SWAC. The SWAC is the Southwestern Athletic Conference. It is an HBCU conference. And Jackson State and Deion Sanders, they play at Mississippi Valley State. And so wanted to point that out as a notable football game. They are very interesting to watch and very fun to watch. All right, gentlemen, let's get into our NFL Week 8 picks. We got some big games this week. So, Jamar, let's begin with you. We got sad to see, man, Miami. I feel so sorry for them, John, like tough losses, just really tough losses, and it could be demoralizing. It really can. And so the Dolphins are at the Bills. It's sad, Jamar, to have those losses, then have to go to Buffalo.
Man. And the last last 2 meetings between these teams, Buffalo had just embarrassed them, spanked them. Last time I'm pretty sure they beat them 35-0. And the time before that, week 17 of last year, when the Dolphins had a chance to make the playoffs, the Bills embarrassed them and knocked them out the playoffs. So, we'll keep this quick. Bills Mafia.
And
go ahead, John.
I'll echo that. The Dolphins they can't keep up with the Bills. I don't think there's any way possible.
Yeah. Division game, dangerous game. But the Dolphins are finding ways to lose. In Bills Mafia, I got the Bills. The Steelers at the Browns. The Steelers came off a victory. They had a heartbreaking loss a few weeks back. And the Browns, I mean, it was impressive, y'all. Without Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum stepped in and did a pretty decent job. The Browns are in the dog pound. Who you got, Jamar? Steelers at the Browns.
This is tough. I have a coworker who's a diehard Steelers fan here.
Baker Mayfield playing tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's playing. Chubb is playing.
Okay.
I'm rolling with the Steelers. I think they just come in and handle business. I just trust Mike Tomlin and that team that plays hard against Baker Mayfield led team that I still have question marks about at times. I'm going with the sure thing that I know of, the Steelers.
Well, Jamar, I watched the Steelers Packers, and I watched the and the Steelers have actually played much better since they played the Packers. And like the Browns running game is just amazing. I mean, their power game is fabulous to watch. And their defense can get after you, which, we know Ben isn't having a great year for the Steelers this year. And it's in Cleveland. have a hard time going against Tomlin because he's one of my favorite coaches, and I love his teams always play hard. But I think I'm leaning towards the Browns on this one.
Yeah, John, I'm with you. I'm going to echo what you stated. This would be a lot tougher for me to pick if Big Ben was having a better year. But right now, Big Ben, man, it looks like Egg just caught up with him.
Mhm.
We are in a dog pound. Nick Chubb, and it was the big reason I asked Shamar if who was playing is because I think that makes a big difference for the Browns. Nick Chubb and their running game. I mean, who is this number 30 for the Browns, Shamar, from a fantasy perspective? Whoever this damn number 30 is named De'Aaron Johnson or something like that.
De'Ernest Johnson.
Yep.
De'Ernest Johnson. This brother can ball. Is he on a radar for fantasy? Because
I mean, last week he definitely was as a streaming option based on all the teams that was on bye and the lack of quality running backs last week. This week, I don't think so, just because Nick Chubb is back. But it's like one of those that you definitely, watch that situation as it unfolds. But no, the Browns prove that they are a running back factory, just like Baltimore, just like San Francisco, and just like Seattle at times. So yeah, that's what they proved.
He won my game last week, Brandon, for me. I picked him up last week because for that reason, but and I think this week, Jamar, I think he's could be a good choice because I think they'll play him in the Hunt role, because Hunt's still out there, so him and Chubb will be sharing carries. But I think they'll play. I think he'll be able to get a good number of points. I hope anyway, because I'm playing him.
I hope so too. I do, but I guess we'll see what happens though.
Yeah, guys, like De'Ernest Johnson, Nick Chubb, y'all, for me, he's more that lateral. But De'Ernest Johnson is all that. And so that's what makes him super dangerous and super elusive. That's an interesting game. Sorry, Deshaun, I love you, my brother. But by the way, John, Jamar, and Deshaun, they have the Destination Fantasy Podcast. And it is focused on fantasy football, and it airs on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And so if you're interested in that podcast, you can reach more out to Jamar because he is big on the fantasy world. And so,
absolutely, Jamar. I'm always looking for that.
That's how it works, man. That's how it works.
Thanks, Brandon.
No problem.
Appreciate you, Brandon.
No problem, man. So yes, I'm gonna go with the Browns. I'm with you, John. I think the Browns, their running game and having Baker Mayfield back makes a big difference. So I'm gonna go with the Browns. The Bengals, man. Shout out to the Bengals. This team, y'all, they are a big surprise. First place in the AFC North, and Jamar Chase. How dare people talk about him dropping passes in the preseason because he haven't dropped nothing in the regular season. This guy looks like not only the offensive rookie of the year, he's looking like a legit Pro Bowl candidate. So Jamar, I don't know if you guys know, he's leading the NFL in receiving yards.
I'm not surprised though.
Yeah. So this, I mean, he's a big play factory. Jamar, Bengals at the Jets. Do the Jets pull out an upset?
Was that a real question? I mean, okay. First off, hashtag Who Dey. That's their thing. Who Dey. I mean, they're currently the number 1 seed in the AFC right now. That's crazy to me. Wow. I mean, and all honesty, I wanted to put them in my top 5 power rankings. I did, but they like right there. But I mean, there's so many good teams. No, like you mentioned, Jamar Chase, beautiful name by the way. I mean that man is. I mean his rookie year.
Jamar and Jamar.
I got
it. his rookie season is like on par with Randy Moss in the sense.
That's who I be thinking of, man. I'm thinking of Randy Moss. The way he looks, it reminds me of Randy Moss.
Yes, and Randy Moss even gave him props, man. And it's fantastic to see who. It's like because they was getting criticized for taking him over Panay, Sewell, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Panay Sewell. Yeah.
Yep.
The lineman that was
Yeah.
drafted from USC. Yeah.
Yep. And look how dynamic that offense is. Like him and Burrow, like their chemistry has not missed a beat from the LSU days. And so like I expect a beat down, and for fantasy owners, definitely expect big things from Jamar Chase here. So go for it. Bengals.
Absolutely.
Yep.
John, who you got?
I'm with Jamar. There's just, this isn't even a question. The Bengals are gonna. I mean, Chase is just. I think he's gonna surpass Moss's rookie year. I mean, the guy. I watched him with the Packers game, and it was just unreal with this guy because the moves he has. I mean, he's fun to watch. He is fun to watch, and him and Burrow seem to have that great connection. And I don't think the Jets have a chance.
Yeah, the Jets right now are the New York Jets. I mean, what can you say? And so for that reason, I'll go with the Bengals. It's just fun to watch the Bengals right now, and it's really good to see where they've recently come from. You know, after all the playoff losses and the coming up shorts all the years. The Bengals, man, I think that in maybe this year, maybe in the coming years, this team could be a Super Bowl threat. Yeah. This team is a pretty decent football team, and they are definitely heading in the right direction.
Let them go to the playoffs and win a playoff game. Let them win a playoff game. It's going to be like headlines all over the place because they haven't won a playoff game that I can remember that since my years of being on this earth. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, the playoff wins I remember was the Boomer Esiason days, and we were babies, Shamar. That's all I know.
Yeah, or before we even thought of something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And so, long time for the Bengals. Shout out to Pac-Man Jones, by the way, for giving that game away against the Steelers. I remember that night.
Oh,
was that the unnecessary roughness penalty?
Yes.
And that's when Antonio Brown turned into AD after Burfict rained his bell.
Perfect.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It was just like, oh, this is such the Bengals. Like, you got the chance to get it done.
How do you get 30 yards of penalties in that one motion?
30 yards.
30 yards. Yep.
Just gave it to Pittsburgh. Gave it to them. And Pittsburgh took that straight to the AFC Championship too. And so shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals. Be an interesting game tomorrow. The Titans at the Colts. So the Colts, they are trending in the right direction, Jamar. I know they're 3-4. They've had some heartbreaking losses, but Carson Wentz is playing a lot better this year. He's having a good year.
He is, and I had to reconcile with a couple of Colts fans here in regards to that. Like, he's not the reason why they're losing. I mean, and then some Colts fans pointed out they had a tough schedule to begin with, which they did. And the schedule gets easier, but it doesn't get easier tomorrow. It doesn't. With that being said, I mean, they're playing better, but the Titans, I think they are clicking there. Even without Julio Jones tomorrow, I think the Titans get it done because nobody's stopping. I feel like the MVP front runner right now, number 22. So I'm
they
taking
need
Titans.
To get that man an MVP. I mean, it's about time. John, who you got?
I tell you what, this is the Colts season. I mean, this game, because if they lose this game, they've been swept by the Titans, and they're 3 games back in the standings. There's just almost impossible to get over that hump. But I don't think it's going to matter because I think Derrick Henry will run over them, and I think the Titans will take it.
Wow, guys, I got an upset tomorrow. I got the Colts. I like the direction that the Colts are trending in right now. Frank Reich, man, this guy is a fantastic football coach. This guy wins. He produces tough teams. They are tough mentally. They don't lay down to nobody. So I at least know that, right? Like, the Colts are not going to lay down to the Titans tomorrow. And this is in Indianapolis, which makes a bit of a difference. The Titans, for me, they are a bit up and down, although they are trending in the right direction. But I think, y'all, the Colts, this is my upset pick for the week. The Colts are not going to just beat up on the Titans. the Colts might have a few things that'll go their way tomorrow. And so I'm gonna go with the Colts and the upset pick. Jeez. Part of me want to change. I'm gonna go with the Colts. I'm gonna stick with it.
There you
All
go.
right. The Eagles at the Lions. Does Detroit get their first win tomorrow? They got a good chance tomorrow, man. It's the Eagles.
You know, I feel like Jalen Hurts gonna have a big game. I feel like the Eagles offense in general gonna have a big game. But I think the Lions get that first win tomorrow. I really do. I've been thinking that all week. I mean, look, even with the Lions, not winning the game, I feel like they're not the worst team in the NFL. They're not. I mean,
I think it's between the Texans and the Jaguars.
Yeah, it does, and I feel like the Texans are the absolute bottom feeders of the whole league. I do. Lions just had bad luck this year with a couple of games. I'm taking the Lions. I really, really strongly believe they will beat the Eagles tomorrow.
And I'm with you, Jamar. I think when I picked this in my fantasy league, I thought the same thing, that the Eagles could score on them. The Lions are not a team that gives up. They come and they play hard every week. They've had some bad luck. I think this is it for them. I think they get this win in Detroit. I'm picking the Lions.
I mean, everything points to Detroit tomorrow. In Detroit, the Eagles are not the best team. Detroit plays hard. I mean, they've had some tough losses. I feel so bad for them. But fellas, the Detroit Lions find ways to lose. And so I got to kind of compensate here, Jamar. I picked the Colts in an upset win, and which is very possible that the Titans might win. So I got to kind of compensate here, right? And so in order to get that W back, I'm going to have to go with the Eagles. Okay? I'm going to have to go with the Eagles because Detroit find ways to lose. They just find ways. It's like poor Matt Campbell for me. He's been lionized. And when I say lionized, he's just been brought into a culture of we find ways,
Man,
you want to say something, Jamar? Go ahead.
And in my head, they are 2-5. In my head, I know what the record shows.
I mean, but they could be 3-4 right now.
They beat Baltimore and they beat Minnesota.
Baltimore. They beat Minnesota. They beat somebody else too. I mean, they lost another game off a field goal. They often lose their games at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, field goal. Poor Detroit. And unfortunately, they might do the same tomorrow. But everybody, all the analysts are like, this is a good opportunity for Detroit. And so I hope Detroit wins. If the Eagles lose, Jalen Hurts, man, I love you, but it's going to be some big questions around Philly and their quarterback situation. So you got an opportunity to make things a little brighter in Philly, Jalen Hurts. So what will you do? All right. The Niners at the Bears. And you got to make this pick, John. Okay? You got to make this pick. I'm not saying you got to pick the Bears. You just got to make a pick. And so Jimmy Garoppolo, Jamar, he's returning back to his roots in Illinois. Maybe he'll stop up in Charleston. But who you got tomorrow? The Niners or the Bears?
This might be the hardest game to pick this week.
It is
honestly.
Two evenly matched football teams.
Let's see. No Khalil Mack.
No Khalil Mack, yeah.
Yeah, that's the negative.
No David Montgomery, but we do like the way Khalil Herbert's been playing.
Yep. Plus, no Matt Nagy, so I'm happy with that.
Oh wait, what happened with Matt Nagy?
He's on the COVID list, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh wow, I didn't hear that. Okay.
Yep. So I'm hoping the Bears win, so that way Matt Nagy becomes real expendable at that point. Like, we don't need you. Goodbye.
Did you see the article? That's why this article came out. It was an article talking about this is a perfect opportunity to get rid of Matt Nagy. In other words, that if the Bears win tomorrow,
yep.
some rumblings like, we won without you, we don't need you.
Exactly. And especially if they just somehow dominate and win by like 20 points or something. We definitely don't need you.
Right.
No, this game is tough, man. I'm giving the edge to our team just because we're at home. If we went at home, I think we get blown out the water. But I think they can actually run the ball against the 49ers and control the clock. And the fact that Herbert was able to run the ball against the stout run defense against the Bucs last week, that was the only positive thing that I could think of in that game. Like I really like this kid, and I think he's gonna have a big game tomorrow. I'm taking our Bears. I'm not trying to be biased here. I'm taking our Bears though.
Well, and I tell you what, I think as I look at this game, the Niners pass rush is ferocious at times, but like you said, if the Bears run the ball, I mean, and they commit to the run, and Nagy's not calling plays, which works out really well for you guys, I think the Bears will take it. I mean, and I don't think the Niners offense is going to scare the Bears defense by any means, and I think the Bears can hold up on them. So it pains me, but I'll pick the Bears.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, you guys, the Niners, they've looked great starting the season, right? Mm-hmm. Look like, okay, yeah, NFC West, it's gonna come down to it, right? But as of lately, the Niners, they have been on the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. Is their record wrong here, Jamal? I don't think they're 2-4. Aren't they 3-3? Didn't they win last week?
No.
Oh, the Niners didn't win last week. They lost to who?
The Colts.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Colts beat up on them, right? It was a relatively decent football game, remember? But it was raining. It was defensive focused. Nobody could catch the ball, but that was due to the rain. Or maybe the Niners offense is just that bad. But on the other hand, the Bears play really tough at home. They are a better football team at home, right, than they are on the road. They are terrible on the road, John. Mm. But at home, the Bears are tough to beat. The Niners could, this is not going to be a game where I don't think the Niners will just lay down to the Bears. This will be a tough game. The Niners could very well win this game. If the Niners were to win, they would win by a game-winning field goal. The Bears, on the other hand, have the opportunity to put their foot on the Niners tomorrow. You're at home. You have a running back that is showing a bright future. Justin Fields plays a lot better in front of the Bears fans than on the road. And Matt Nagy, he's not calling plays. I'm going to go with the Bears tomorrow. And the reason why is because the Bears are at home. That's the biggest reason. Chicago has a tremendous home field advantage. And that's in any sport, John. Mm-hmm. Chicago fans show up, man. Go ahead, Jamar.
And I was like, that was my reason too. But biggest thing, the 49ers, they really, really miss George Kittle. If George Kittle was playing, I might pick different. But they're one dimensional in the pass game. It's Deebo Samuel and everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I feel like, guys, if we beat Cincinnati at home, if we hang tough for Green Bay at home, then I think we can beat the Niners at home.
I'm still upset about what Roger said, by the way.
Yeah, man. Like, he always got something to say, don't he?
I said to Brandon, I wrestle with that too, as a Packer fan, because I'm pretty big into sportsmanship. But when I saw how many times he was getting flipped off by people, I was like, I don't know how that works.
Maybe he's doing it because it's the last dance, guys. I don't know, but
I mean, I was telling my coworker who's a big Bears fan as well. It's like before that game, I was like, based on what Rodgers been saying in the press, it's like, okay, maybe I'm starting to like Aaron Rodgers, because I was a big Brett Favre fan, even though he was on the other side. I love Brett Favre, and then that happened. I'm like, Aaron Rodgers is dead to me.
He definitely sparked the rivalry a little more, didn't he?
I know, right?
Yeah. Somebody said if he had car troubles in Chicago, good luck.
I'm telling you, if he's at a restaurant, I don't know if he can eat free. Like, they might not even serve him. They'd be like,
they won't serve him.
Now, did you hear the nice story though about when a couple years ago when he was in Chicago and the fan he was walking and a little boy, I think it was, wasn't it, Jamar?
Yep.
That he spent like 35 minutes with talking to him or something, I mean, because he was out just wandering the streets of Chicago. I mean, just kind of enjoying a walk, and that was a cool story, I thought.
Yeah, and that's when my coworker told me that, I'm like, okay, like that's pretty cool. That's decent of him. He didn't have to do that.
No.
And then that happened. So, but no, yeah, that was very nice of him.
Yeah. He definitely has fun with this rival for sure, and it's really good to see Aaron Rodgers, y'all, having a lot of fun this season in general. In regards to everything he's been stating, he's been talking trash to a number of people. I don't know if you guys are seeing, he was talking trash to the head coach for Arizona.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Letting him know, like, we're about to score. You know this, right? Telling him we're about to score. And so you guys are about to get ready because it's about to be a game now.
Yeah. Then he messed with Mike Tomlin when they played the Steelers.
Yeah. He straight up told Cliff, we're about to score. And so that's what happened. All right, guys. The Rams at the Texans. Jamar, do the Texans
Rams.
Yeah, I'm with y'all, the Rams. I don't know. Texans, pull that out. Panthers at the Falcons. One team trending down, one team trending up. Who you got, Jamar? I told you last week. I told you last Sunday.
Based on how this is going, like one team misses Christian McCaffrey, the other one, I guess at times can maybe look a little decent. They're finally utilizing their number 4th overall pick here. Mm-hmm. He's starting to look like a monster, like projected.
Sounds like a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, starting to look like that Hall of Fame that they're trying to give him already. So, I'm gonna have to go with that team, that Atlanta team. And I normally don't like picking Atlanta for anything because they'll let you down. But Panthers has been a bigger letdown lately. So,
I'm with you, Jamar. The Falcons are on the rise, and Panthers are falling apart without McCaffrey. And Pitts is amazing. I mean, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer yet, but they're utilizing him. I mean, he's going to be an amazing tight end for years to come, I think. So I'm going to go with Falcons.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the team with the best player on the field. If Christian McCaffrey was the best player on the field, I'll go with the Panthers. But as far as I know, he's not playing, right, Jamar?
Oh, no, he's not playing.
Right. I'm going to go with the Falcons. Jaguars at the Seahawks. To the Seahawks, they've had some tough losses. They're at home tomorrow. Do they bounce back against the Jaguars?
This is tough in a sense.
It's tricky.
It is. Just because they have to travel across country, because that's normally when you travel across country, it's like you're at a disadvantage already. I'm picking Seattle, but I'm not confident because I think like the Jags actually have looked a lot better the last 3 weeks. They really have.
Yeah.
I'm picking Seattle.
They've given away some games to the Jaguars. They've given away some games.
They have. Like they shouldn't have beat Cincinnati. Like that's
for sure. Yeah.
No, I'm picking Seattle. They're at home and they don't have to travel across country. And I think DK Metcalf should have his way. So I'm picking the Seahawks.
John, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Seahawks too, and I'm with Jamar. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year we'd be wrestling with the pick of this game, kind of a thing. The Seahawks without Russell Wilson, they're just not the same team. So but I'm gonna pick the Seahawks.
Yeah, but it shows you that the Seahawks, a lot of their games, y'all, have come down to the final drive. Mm-hmm. With Geno Smith, which means he's played relatively decent. It's just been a story of his career, right, Jamar? Yeah. Like big moments that he just doesn't get it done. But tomorrow is a grand opportunity. You got Mr. Two Fingers coming in. You got a rookie quarterback, and the Jaguars have to cross the entire country I know Urban Meyer will have this team focused. Now, the Jaguars are not as bad as we think they are.
No.
This team has come closer in a number of games. They've lost some heartbreaks, but Seattle has too. And so I just think based on the field, if I put these two teams on the field, Seattle has a better overall football team. And I think that shows tomorrow, especially with Seattle and that tremendous home field base at Quest Field. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
Right. I just can't imagine Urban Meyer grinding out a victory tomorrow. I just can't see it.
Yeah, if anything, he'll give one away. Patriots at the Chargers. Patriots at the Chargers. Who you got, Jamar?
Oof. I'm gonna take the Chargers, but I'm not all the way convinced either, just because it's like I feel like this is a trap game in reverse. Because New England, like I know that their wins this year hasn't, been the most impressive when they won, but I know that they play, tougher teams pretty close. But I'm gonna get a slight edge to the Chargers here, but man, I'm not confident.
John, who you got?
I'm with you. The Chargers look like world beaters at times, but they can play down to their opponents. And the Patriots seem to be moving up. Mac Jones has made more of an impression on me than, I don't know about you guys, than I thought he would this year. I think he's playing a lot better than I expected him to. But it's in LA. I think I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. In LA, the records do tell a story. Chargers do play very well at home, by the way. They have a dynamic offense and a great quarterback. And so if you ask me which quarterback is the best quarterback, I would tell you easily Justin Herbert. And so for that reason, and also being in LA, I'm going to go with the Chargers. The Bucks at the Saints. Do Jameis Winston, Jamar eat a W tomorrow?
No, he can go eat some gumbo afterwards. I mean, he's not eating a W. I'm not seeing it. I mean, granted, I feel like the Saints are like, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type deal. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. You really don't.
Volatile.
They are. And so, that's great that they got Mark Ingram coming back. They really need that. But it's like, until Michael Thomas comes back and, wants to come back and actually wants to play football, it's like their passing game is suspect. I mean, it turned into the Alvin Kamara show last week. And on the flip side, Marshawn Lattimore can only guard one person. I mean, the Bucs still have weapons galore. It's not like Drew Brees is quarterback anymore in this matchup from last year. So I'm taking the Bucs.
John, who you got?
I go with the Bucs too. The Saints are Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, I watched them in week one just thump the Packers, like it was nobody's business. And then the rest of the year, I've watched them go up and down. I'm with Jamar. They don't have enough weapons you can't Godwin, Evans. I don't know if Gronkowski's playing or not, but
questionable. Yeah.
The Bucs have got too much firepower for it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Firepower is the key word. The Buccaneers will just score more points. They will, depending upon a miracle. But the Saints, they have great defense. That's one thing I get to them, Jamar. They can play some defense, but their offense is terrible. Like, oh my God. Like, last week against Seattle, the question was who wanted to win the game? I mean, between Geno Smith and Jameis Winston, it was terrible to watch both of these guys play football. The game was just that dull and boring and no offense at all. And so for that reason, the Bucs they score a lot more points. The Bucs have a lot more weapons, John. And so for that reason, I have to go with the Bucs just simply because I believe that the Bucs will outscore the Saints. And I'll just leave it at that. So Jamar likely picking up his kid, he probably hit a button or something. So he'll be back on shortly. Washington at the Broncos. John, let's begin with you.
All
Who you
right.
got for this one? The football
You-
team or the Broncos?
This
Somebody
is
got to win this game because the Broncos are trending down in.
big time. I mean, the Broncos started out 3-0, at one point, and of course they beat three teams that hadn't had any wins. But I think I'm going to go. This is a tough one. Probably the toughest
Yeah.
game I think for me. But I think I'll go with Washington. The Broncos. I just don't trust the Broncos at all right now. So I'm going to go with the Washington football team.
Man, this is
Mm.
tough because the Broncos they've just been terrible lately.
Mm.
And I've been picking them too, and it's just like they don't show up anymore.
Hey, I'm a pick real quick because I got to get them some cereal. But I'm going Broncos just because they get their weapon back, Jerry Jeudy. Be back.
Okay, they get Jerry Jeudy back. I'm gonna go with the Broncos as well. And Jamar pointed out Jerry Jeudy, but the reason why I'm gonna go with the Broncos is simply because they're in Mile High, John.
Yeah.
They do play a lot better at home. They were 3-0 for a reason. But I won't be surprised if Washington win this football game. Tyler Hinkey has been playing pretty good, man. He plays with nothing to lose. He has a very, very fun aura to his way of playing football. And he reminds me a lot of remember Jake DeHome from the Panthers?
Yep, for the
He kind
Panthers.
of plays like him, just loose. He'll let the thing ride, he'll let it go in the air. He does what he does. You know what? I'm gonna change my pick. I'm gonna go with you, John. I'm gonna go with the football team.
That's
The Broncos right now, I can't trust them. They look really bad right now. We'll see though. I mean, Broncos, this is your chance. If you want to get a victory tomorrow, this is your ample opportunity to beat a 2-5 NFC least team. Okay. All right. Cowboys at the Vikings. Who you got, John?
Oh boy, I tell you this is one that I hate to admit because we don't as a Bears fan and a Packer fan, I'm sure none of us want the Vikings to ever win. But but the reality is that this is one I kind of like because those Cowboys are dangerous. I think now I still don't know what the deal is with Prescott. I think he's still questionable. I haven't heard. And if Prescott plays, I think the Cowboys take this pretty easily. But if he doesn't, this could be a field goal game, Brandon, I think. But I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys just because the talent on the Cowboys defense this year is really coming to the head right now. I mean, this Diggs kid and the Parsons kid that they got, man, those kids are just amazing. And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the edge to the Cowboys.
Yeah. So right now, Dak Prescott is listed as questionable. So it really sucks that I got to make this pick on Saturday. I wish I could make it on Sunday night, But if Dak Prescott's not playing, I've been high on this Vikings team, John, believing that it's a relatively decent football team. Especially when they get the run going with, one of the best running backs in the NFL, Dalvin Cook. I'm really excited to see two matchups here. I'm really excited to see who has the better game between Justin Jefferson, who is a fantastic ball player, as well as CeeDee Lamb. So both of these young second-year receivers being on the same field tomorrow is something to definitely watch. But if Dak Prescott's not playing, I'm going to go with the Vikings. And so for that reason, I'm going to just go with the Vikings because right now, according to reports, I don't believe Dak Prescott will play. But if he does play, then they'll beat the Vikings. I strongly believe. Jamar, who you got? Cowboys or Vikings?
That's tough. I'm gonna go. I see why you said if you could wait till tomorrow to take that pick. I'm gonna take the Vikings.
All right. The New York Giants at the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has lately had to make apologies to his team because of his turnovers and his bad play. The Giants are dangerous. They are. When you kind of sleep on the Giants, that's when they come out and sneak out a victory over you. And the Giants got a good opportunity because this Chiefs team, y'all, has been turning over the ball, and their defense is, yeah. But they are at home tomorrow. Maybe they got something to play for tomorrow. You know, I mean, you mentioned earlier, John, that it was somebody's season on the line, the Colts, right?
Yep.
If the Chiefs lose this tomorrow, I mean, this is a big game for the Chiefs. Jamar, who you got?
Oh, I'm taking the Chiefs. I feel like they're due for a game to get back in the swing of things. Like I understand the Giants had an impressive win last week, but they was at home. I don't see it happening here. If the Chiefs lose this game, then I guess all bets are off with them. But I don't have any reason to not pick against the Chiefs. I can't see it, so I'm picking the Chiefs.
And I'll go on that as far as you're right, Brandon. I just was looking at the record and I hadn't realized that it was 3-4. I don't know why. The Chiefs lose this game and the Chargers win their game. That's about a 3-game slide there too, and the Chargers already beat the Chiefs. So I think the Chiefs have got so much to lose on this game. I don't think they will lose the game. I mean, I think they'll come out and play. I think they'll take it this time.
Yeah, I do see a good football game. The Giants do play good football games. They just don't win them. They do play good football games. The Chiefs, it's been a disappointment thus far. They got a big game. If they lose this game, headlines Monday morning. And so for that reason, the Chiefs just have a lot to play for. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with the Chiefs at home. All right, guys, that concludes our...
Really quick.
Go ahead.
Brandon, what was your pick between the Broncos and the football team?
I'm going to go with the football team because the Broncos, man.
I got
don't
you.
know what to expect from them.
And then what was you all's picks for the Cowboys Vikings? I didn't get it.
I took the Cowboys.
Okay.
And I picked the Vikings.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
But that is, if Dak's playing, it's a whole different ball game. All right, gentlemen, let's focus on some other sports. Some of the sports that, football dominates around this time of year. But Major League Baseball, y'all, it is the World Series. Last night, the Atlanta Braves pitched a 2-inning shutout down in ATL. Just curious, John, can you give us your World Series pick? Are you going with the Braves or are you going with the Astros?
I'm going with the Braves, especially after last night's pitching, because I didn't know if the Braves pitching could hold up against the Astros, but I think the Braves are going to win this thing.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to October Baseball. It is always one of those teams you never see.
The Braves were 500 like at mid-season, weren't they?
Exactly, right? And you spend all year looking at the Dodgers and the Giants. Oh, look at these two. Spend all year looking at the Rays, things like that. And then we were looking a lot at the Sox. We're Sox fans.
Yeah.
But the Braves are definitely clicking at the right time. And so it's a big game for the Astros. It is a lot on the line tonight in Atlanta. That was a great basketball game, Jamar. We'll hit on some NBA. John, I don't know if you watch much of it, but we're big Bulls fans. It was a great game. Derrick Rose came back. Jamar looking nice. Couple explosive layups to the rim. I'm like, this looks like 2011 D Rose. He hit a 3-pointer. Kind of waved to the crowd, sending messages like, remember me? Bulls and Knicks. It was a really good game, man. It was fun to watch. Just any quick thoughts from that game? Like, was it a fun game to watch for you or what, man?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, for it to be Joakim Noah night, have all the, the throwback players come back one time to celebrate his Bulls career.
Have D Rose and Tibbs in the building. And
yes,
Taj Gibson.
exactly. So, I mean, that was the perfect night to do it. I'm glad they did it like that. Shout out to the Bulls organization for actually, using their brains. No, I mean, as far as the game itself, I mean, like, I know we came up on the short end of the stick, but it was a good test for us. It was a good game for us because now, like I said, the next 14, including that one, was, going to be a measuring stick for how good this team can actually be. The fact that, they had chances to where they could have laid down and got probably lost by like 15, 16 points. They actually like had a chance to win the game. Like they lost by 1. That lets you know how good the defense can be once they really locked in. And just the sad part about losing Patrick Williams for the rest of the regular season, now 4 to 6 months here. So that's going to be telling us see how the rotation does. But all in all, man, I still love our team's chances. We have a lot of depth there. So they, you're going to see a lot more Javonte Green going forward. But I like it. I do. We got a tough one tonight, and I'm going to be tuning in for that one.
Who do we got tonight?
Utah.
Okay, and Utah?
No, we're at home. They're the only, I think, undefeated team left.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Very interesting. Utah's a very good basketball team. That'll be an interesting game. So just curious, based off of this game, John, you can answer as well, because I know you watch basketball. Between the Bulls or the Knicks, which team do you guys feel has the greatest chance to make some noise this season and in the NBA playoffs? So, go ahead, Jamar. You can begin.
Okay. Matter of fact, let John go first.
Go ahead, John.
Well, I would guess that. Oh man, I'd love to say the Bulls, just because it's been so long since the Bulls made some noise.
Right.
But I think I'm Brandon. I watched part of. I didn't get to see much of it, but I watched part of the Joakim Noah night just because I wanted to see Noah and I wanted to see D Rose. And man, you're right. He looked good. I mean, for the first time in a long time since I've seen him. And I think they both have a chance to do some to make some noise, but I think I lean towards the Knicks a little bit as of right now. I think, and the Williams injury plays into that too for the Bulls.
Yeah.
I think, but I'd lean towards the Knicks.
Yeah, it's a big injury. And reading that this morning, it kind of hurt my heart, John, to hear that he's out 4 to 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Because the biggest question I had is if Patrick Williams can be our best player, then we're going to be something serious to deal with. Mm-hmm. But he's out now for 4 to 6 months. Yeah. Jamar, the Knicks and the Bulls,
I mean,
who can make some noise this season, who can be a dangerous threat in the playoffs?
I mean, with that injury, I would say by default, maybe the Knicks right now, as far as the regular season. And I think this might be a blessing in disguise for the Bulls. So that means, somebody else will have to step up, be a more contributor by the time Patrick Williams may come back, which is probably the playoffs. They just flew them out for the regular season. Then, that's just more added depth at that point. So I think we do have a higher ceiling when it's all said and done. As in, we can probably make a deeper playoff run because even though, the Knicks are, 4-1 right now, I still have questions about, when it comes down to it. I mean, they had a great regular season last year. They came in the playoffs, and, I mean, you let a one-man show come in and, beat you in 4 or 5, whatever it was. It was quick. And so I think we are built more so for the playoffs just because we have a lot of
we got a lot more weapons.
We do, and we can score in different ways. That's
yes.
What I like about it. Besides the defense, I love the fact that we are very versatile on offense. We can score inside out, we can score outside in, we can score in transition, we can score in half court, we can play pick and roll, 2-man game. We can do it all. We have the personnel to do so. So I give the Knicks the regular season, but I think when it's crunch time and playoff time, when the game slows down and when defense, you need to play defense in the half court setting and need to run half court offense, I think we can do it. Higher ceiling.
Guys, I mean, both of you guys you've answered the question for me. I'll just add a little more to it. When it comes to the regular season, Patrick Williams being out, that's big for us. The Knicks, they will play hard. Tibbs team, Jamar, right, John? They play hard always. And so it's not like the Knicks are gonna, just lay down in the regular season. They're gonna play hard the entire regular season. The Bulls, on the other hand, are definitely built more for a playoff run. In the playoffs, the game slowed down. But the Bulls, if they could, get into the track of the team, they can do that with Lonzo Ball and the weapons that they got. You see the alley hoops and the fantastic plays these guys have been making. You can go inside out with Vujovic. You got shooters. And Vujovic is a quiet all-star on our team. Like, you got DeRozan who can hit clutch shots. I mean, the Bulls can beat you in so many ways. The big issue I got with the Knicks, y'all, is can they sustain this over the season as a Tibbs team that will likely get worn down? Okay. And they usually get worn down by the playoffs. And the other question I have for the Knicks, Shamar, is you did answer the question about getting Evan Fournier, but it's a reason why Evan Fournier has been traded to a number of teams. There's a reason. He can get you some points, but that's about it. On the other hand, Julius Randle is my biggest question, John. Yeah. Julius Randle, when you just kind of gang up on him, which is their number one option, what other options do you really, really have when you play against the Nets, when you play against the Bucks? Like teams that could really, really beat you in multiple ways and that got superstars. There's a difference between a star and a superstar in basketball. The Bucks and the Nets, these guys got superstars. And so for that reason, I think the Bulls, y'all, will have long-term success. We can go ahead, Jamar, and not necessarily worry about this question of are the Bulls for real. Yes, the Bulls are for real. The biggest question here, and I just want to ask it really quickly, will James Harden break out of this slump, Jamar? One-word response, yes or no? And when will he do this? Because right now, he's not benefiting off that new NBA rule.
Yes, it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a few months. I feel like it's gonna take a few months.
Amen, Trae Young.
Yeah, and I think more so with Harden, he mentioned that he was rehabbing all offseason. He didn't really get a chance to play, and I think it's starting to show. So I think eventually, I say maybe around the All-Star break, maybe a little after that. But it's gonna be a while.
They get warmed up. All right, fellas, and lastly, to end our segment, before we do final thoughts and shout outs, let's quickly hit on the Blackhawks.
Yes.
John, just give us your thoughts, man, from this whole scenario.
It's as we were talking about a little earlier, Brandon, it's such a hard thing to deal with. I mean, the fact that now we're learning that, upper management had this meeting
during the playoffs. They knew about it.
Right? Yeah, and they knew about it. It was right after right before the Western Conference Finals, I think is what they said before they went to San Jose, and they avoided it, right? I mean, they just essentially said nothing through the Stanley Cup, and then they let him, the coach, be part of the celebration. They let him be. His name was on the cup. I guess Word yesterday asked for it to be taken off, but it's a black eye. I mean, and it's not a black eye just for the 2010 season. This is a black eye for this whole dynasty that the Blackhawks had.
Right.
I mean, right? I mean, those are 3 cups, and this amazing, wonderful ride we were all on has come crushing down. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's one that I have a hard time because they picked the winning over the person. The upper management guys are called to protect those players. I mean, those are young players. Kyle Beach was, I think, like 20, 21 at the time or something. He was a younger kid. And these guys that are supposed to be watching over and guiding didn't protect him, and so there's a definite cloud over all 3 of these cups, and over the team and the whole organization at this point. Even I was kind of disappointed with the way Tays answered some of the questions the other day, and I know he was like 21 at the time or whatever, but the fact of the matter is that you got to protect your players, and so it's going to take a little bit. I mean, I love the Hawks. I won't ever stop loving them, but It's definitely a dark cloud.
Yeah, a dark cloud right now that's led us to be 0-6 right now.
Yeah.
And
On
so
top of that, they're horrible, Brandon. I mean,
yeah, and so you got that going on. Then you just generally don't have a good hockey team right now.
Yep.
And so the cloud is definitely dark over the United Center, at least for the Blackhawks. And
Yep.
so we'll see how things go. But in that case, gentlemen, thank you so much for participating. John, we appreciate you having the time to join us this morning on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Shout out to the supporters of the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Your love and support is truly appreciated. And me and Jamar, we want to take this time to say thank you. We appreciate you for giving us your presence and your peace this morning. Just as we head into the weekend, we always like to let our guests, John, give us any final thoughts and shout outs. And once you give us your thoughts and shout outs, we'll kind of give ours as well. So any final thoughts and shout outs as we get into this weekend?
You know what? This weekend's a packed weekend, but I want to say thank you so much. It's a great honor to sit and talk sports. I love doing this, and thank you for inviting me, guys. I had a blast doing this.
Yes. Jamar, any final thoughts or shout outs as we head into the weekend?
Yeah, yes, sir. So there is a boxing match tonight. Mary McGee, she's from Gary, Indiana. She is world champ. She is fighting in London at 4:00 Central Time today, defending her title. So everybody in the area is, riding with her. She is our champ. So we definitely want to see her come out with a victory and defend her title.
Nice. Thanks for putting that out there. I'm gonna definitely be looking to take a look online or something like that. As we head into the weekend, everyone, it's Halloween weekend. Be safe, have fun, enjoy the children, different things like that. Make sure that you are very cognizant that it is still a virus out there, everyone. And so do your part to mask up if you are even vaccinated. Do your part to try to prevent anyone else from dealing with that horrible disease, because I still know people that are dealing with it, and I still know a few people that have recently passed from it. So it is very real. And so enjoy the weekend, everyone. Be safe, have fun. Thank you all for tuning in with us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Have a blessed weekend and peace.
Peace out.
Thank you.
All right.